Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I see you, Adrian. Good morning to you. Shardinia, what's up, sister? Good morning to you, Shirley Nicholson. So good to see you in the room as well. Shirley, are you still moving? Let us know if you're still moving. Listen, we're going to have a great show today. We have some high schoolers with us, high school seniors. They'll be graduating May 2025. They are hanging out with us today because we're still talking about voting. It is so important to talk about voting. What's up, Virgie, coming all the way from Virginia? We're still talking about voting, and this group that I have with us today, they're going to be absolutely phenomenal. So if you have any high schoolers, 17, 18, or anyone who's 18, 19, 20, 21, and you want to invite them in, please send them the link. And if you would do me a great favor, hit that thumbs up button. Hit that like button. That helps out with the algorithm. We also have our audio podcast listeners tuning in as well. So they're coming in here. So I'm excited about that. I see you, Donita. Good morning to you. Hey, everyone. It is Thursday, September the 19th, 2024. I am your host, Gail Dudley, and welcome everyone to this segment of News in Motion. Y'all, you can check us out on YouTube, my LinkedIn, or our audio podcast. We just want to say thank you again. Do us a favor, y'all. Hit that thumbs up button so that we can continue to get that algorithm moving. Y'all, today we have our high school ambassador with us, Lexi Williams, and she's brought some friends with her. And we're going to have an honest conversation about voting and how do we motivate and encourage our young people to get registered to vote and vote. So again, get as many people in here as you possibly can. We would greatly appreciate it. All right, y'all, here's some quick headline news because I want to give the majority of this segment to the young people. Yesterday, I shared to look for the Federal Reserve, what's up, Regina Shorts, to make a rate cut during their announcement at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Well, after months of hoping and waiting and watching, y'all, it happened. It did happen. The Federal Reserve announced a 0.5 percentage point cut in benchmark rates yesterday, at the higher end of the market expectations. The decision marks the central bank's first rate cut since the early days of COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Now, y'all, this is about a 4.9%, marking the first rate cut in 4 years. The Federal Reserve also signaled that we can expect more rate cuts in the near future, targeting a 4.4 interest rate by the end of 2024 and a 3.4% interest rate by the end of 2025. So, y'all, that is great news. I also mentioned yesterday about the explosive that has been happening in Lebanon and around. Well, more devices exploded in Lebanon yesterday. Hundreds of walkie-talkies and solar devices detonated across Lebanon in an apparent round of explosions, killing at least 20 people and wounding 450 others. So this is happening. So keep an eye out on that. Also on yesterday, y'all, CBS News reports that the House votes 220 to 202, with some Republicans joining Democrats to reject a stopgap government funding bill brought by House Speaker Mike Johnson yesterday. The bill included a measure to require proof of citizenship to register to vote. We got to talk about it. So the House rejected Speaker Mike Johnson's plan to keep the government funded on yesterday, with a small group of Republicans joining most Democrats to oppose this measure. Now, this measure was first talked about March of 2024, and then they're talking about funding the government through March 28, 2025. Again, it fell short. 14 Republicans joined all but 3 Democrats to oppose the bill. The voting portion of the legislation, known as the SAVE Act, will require proof of citizenship to register to vote in federal elections. Now, y'all, I want y'all just to think about this just for a moment. Because if you go to pages 69 through 85 of Section 1 called Taking the Reins of Government, and that is inside Project 2025, you will find a long list of where they want to make some cuts. So let me just talk a little bit about those cuts this morning. They're talking about eliminating up to 1 million federal jobs. Okay, they're talking about declare public unions illegal and take away union rights. This is all in Project 2025, y'all. Gut federal workers' pay and benefits. Make it easier to discriminate against people of color, women, and the LGBTQIA+. Dismantle and privatize federal agencies. We're talking the Department of Education, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of Veterans Affairs, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, the Department of Justice, and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. That's a lot of cuts. I want to hear in the chat what you all are thinking when I share that information with you. So they wanted to slip that in there, but I need to say this. It's already illegal for non-citizens to vote in the federal election. So why that needed to be included in that bill makes no sense to me. Absolutely makes zero sense to me. So I just want to hear in the chat, put in the chat your thoughts on some of this, because we want to just talk about this morning. That's a lot to digest. It's a lot to look at. And we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it. So Adrian, Shardenia, Shirley, Virgie, Donita, Lexi, Regina, put in the chat your thoughts about that. Just put in the chat your thoughts about that. And as you are flooding the chats with your thoughts, let's remember to vote for Baby James. Again, the link will be posted in the YouTube description. This little baby, I know all about him. Jules, who have helped out many times with News in Motion with some of the work that I'm doing. Yeah, we got to help out Baby James. We got to vote for him. So I'll get that link back out there. But isn't he absolutely adorable? We need to vote for Baby James. The entire description I shared on yesterday's segment, as well as the links. And again, the links will be in the description on our YouTube page. So make sure y'all vote for Baby James. All right, Latrice, good morning, sister. Adrian says, yes, there is a checkbox to register. Also, there's a checkbox on the provisional ballots. So we have to look at this. We have to vote. We have to make sure we're doing these things, y'all. So when you're talking about Project 2025 and what I just read to you, again, y'all, it's in the pages between 69 and 85. You read those pages. Section 1 of Project 2025 is called Taking the Reins of Government. So when Speaker Mike Johnson saying that we're going to put this measure in here and it got voted down yesterday in the House, you have to go back to Project 2025 and say, okay, what's this language he was speaking and what's the language in that document? Again, the pages there are pages 69 to 85. So check that out. I need everybody to put in the chat. Please put in the chat. Please put in the chat. Audio people, y'all stay watching the roads. If you're watching here on YouTube, I need y'all all to put in the chat, oh snap. Just put in the chat, oh snap, SNAP. Just put it in the chat, oh snap. Come on, y'all, put it in there, put it in there, put it in there, put it in there. Listen. Let's see. Adrian says, so those are their attempts to dismantle all government for the long haul. That's what they're trying to do. All right, y'all. Lexi put in here, oh snap. Adrian put in here, oh snap. Latrice put in here, oh snap. Come on, y'all. Need some more oh snaps in here. Oh snap. Listen, I want y'all to hear this. Virgie said, oh snap, y'all. Listen, just go ahead. Just put in oh snap. More than 100. Donita said, oh snap, more than 100 Republican former national security and foreign policy officials on Wednesday, Shirley said, I'll snap, on Wednesday endorsed Kamala Harris for president in a joint letter calling Donald Trump unfit to serve another term in the White House. Oh snap. Y'all, former officials from the presidential administration of Republicans Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, and including Donald Trump, as well as Democrats Bill Clinton and Barack Obama voiced their support for Kamala Harris, the Democrat nominee for president in this November's election. They were joined by some former GOP members of Congress. Oh, snap. In their letter, they say, "We believe that the President of the United States must be a principled, serious, and steady leader." It went on to say, "We expect to disagree with Kamala Harris on many domestic and foreign policy issues, but we believe that she possesses the essential qualities to serve as president, and Donald Trump does not." This is in a letter. I see you, Kim Edmondson. We therefore support her election to be president. Y'all, again, oh, snap. But y'all, this came after several aides of the late Ronald Reagan signaled the same. Listen to this. This is also from The Guardian. More than a dozen former Ronald Reagan staff members have joined dozens of other Republican figures endorsing the Democratic nominee and Vice President Kamala Harris, saying their support was less about supporting the Democrat Party, but more about our resounding support for democracy. In a letter obtained by CBS News, former Reagan aides and appointees, including Ken Adelman, a U.S. ambassador to the United Nations and arms control negotiator, as well as a deputy press secretary, B.J. Cooper, said they believe that if alive today, Ronald Reagan would have supported Kamala Harris. Oh, snap. So he's losing support one after another, after another, after another. And that's even after he doubled down on yesterday. He advanced both about Springfield, Ohio. I must say, Governor Mike DeWine isn't fooling around with it. He has had enough. And he's letting his voice be heard as well. In other news, before we turn this segment over to interviewing the high school seniors about voting, and I want y'all to really participate with them. It's a panel of them. Listen. Lexi got two others join her. I've had a great time speaking with them in the green room. Y'all don't want to miss this. Please hit that thumbs up button to keep the algorithm coming. But I'm really excited about bringing them on. But before I do that, y'all, Boeing temporarily furloughs tens of thousands of employees to cut costs amid ongoing strike from its largest union. Affected employees will be furloughed for 1 out of every 4 weeks until the walkout ends. Now, I had to say this to myself. What's up, Dr. Antoinette? I had to say this myself. Okay, which employees are y'all furloughing? Because I got some plane trips coming up. And is all of that in place? Like, what's happening here? If a plane needs maintenance, what are y'all doing? We have questions. And y'all, believe it or not, this is connected and tied into voting. Also, I'm only sharing this because I remember washing tons of these when I was growing up in my parents' home because my mom was Tupperware crazy. Y'all, Tupperware brands files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Following a recent slump in sales, the company intends to continue operations and will launch a 30-day bidding process to find a buyer. I thought, oh, God, I remember. And y'all remember Tupperware? I'm talking about Tupperware back in the day. I'm 59. So back in the day, there were orange bowls. There were bright green bowls. You had a lid that snapped in the middle. And you had to hand wash all of that. Just everything. I'm like, what is happening? I see you, Lori Wallace. I see you, Deborah Johnson, rolling up in here. Listen. Tupperware, y'all, files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I called my mom up. I said, Mom, how you feel about that? She said, girl, that was back in the day. Tupperware. I said, you inundated us with Tupperware. We had to wash those things over and over and over again. But hey, life changes. All right, y'all, we can bring in the powerhouse of three. Lexi is going to come in here. Y'all know Lexi Williams. She's a high school senior, and she is our News in Motion ambassador. This is the week of voting. National Voter Registration Day happened on Tuesday, but it is happening throughout all week. I want to share this with you. The numbers, they are still tallying up the numbers. I don't care where you participated, who you participated with. Make sure you are documenting your numbers with the person that you signed up with, whoever that may be, whatever organization that is. So far, y'all, there have been 5,500 organizations and partners. And News in Motion was one of the partners with the National Voter Registration Day. And they believe those numbers are going to be in the hundreds of thousands of how many people were registered to vote. They are not including the endorsements from Taylor Swift, although she is a part of the National Voter Registration Day. Those numbers are going to be separate. But they've already said, from what their data people are recording, this has been the highest ever of number of people who have registered to vote. Also, let's not forget that the and I can't think of it. Deb, Latrice, can one of you tell me? Sandy Hook. I did think of it. Sandy Hook. This is the first that those people are able to vote, and those young people said they're voting for the 23 who were not able to vote, who are not able to vote. So that's a number. They've been out there also including people and encouraging people to vote. So let me bring in Lexi and her team. What's up?
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Lexi, will you please introduce your panelists with us for all the viewers?
Well, I have the honor and pleasure sitting next to me are Sima Desalu and Evelyn Rivera, who are both seniors here with me at Pick North.
Yay, Pickerington North. And y'all, they're good. I asked them early on, let's try to figure out how they can get some credit for this morning. And the other question I asked, because y'all know I be forgetting stuff, I said, y'all's parents do know you're on here this morning. They're like, yay. I said, okay, that's all I need to know. I see you, Davia, coming up in here. She said, fantastic. Now let's get them to their polling places. Listen, we ain't playing with that. I'm with you. Marion Jackson, good morning to you. All right, so Lexi, Summer, and I missed that last name. Give me Evelyn. Thank you. I gotta go which one. Which I'm going this way, and I forgot you kept doing this way earlier. So, all right, y'all. So let's jump in here. Why should a young person, even if they can't vote yet, still stay informed about what's happening in the government and political system? Because I'm afraid a lot of young people are just ignoring this, when in fact, the three of you who are seniors, by the time the president takes office in 2025, you will be headed out to college, into adulthood during that time. So why should they still stay informed about what's happening in the government and the political system?
That's a very good question to start off with. I think firstly, what a lot of us fail to recognize is that even though right now we may not directly be involved with the voting and other political aspects, they still, first of all, affect us. And in a few short years, we will be the ones making these decisions. So it's very important to have this awareness and this understanding beforehand, so that when it does come time for us to take our part and take our place, we walk into it knowing what we know, knowing what to do, knowing how it works. And that way, when it's time, we're not, first of all, overwhelmed, and also not like misled by other people. And that's a very big thing in politics. So I think it's something that we need to take accountability of in our earlier years.
I love that. Thank you. And by the way, happy birthday to you. You had a birthday 2 days ago. So we want to say happy birthday to you. So thank you for that. I like that, what you shared. Evelyn, you or Lexi have anything to say there? Or do you want me to go into another question? Go ahead, Evelyn. Jump in here, sister. Yeah, listen, Evelyn came in here like, hey, this morning when we were in the green room. I was like, oh, y'all will love this. Go ahead, Evelyn.
I just fully agree that I think it's like important for us to be aware of what's going on, because at the end of the day, we are still the future of this country. So being informed and not being misled by certain biases, depending on different political views, is really important to know, so that you yourself know what you believe and what's best for the country as a whole.
Thank you. So I'm gonna go to the next question. How do you believe young people like yourselves can influence political outcomes or shape the future of the country? So all three of you, so that the audience are aware, they're all 17. Even Summer just turned 17 2 days ago. They will not, and I see how that sun's coming in here on. She goes, I'm a shift. I see the sun coming in through the classroom. You fixed it, sister. You fixed it. That was perfect. Nope, it didn't. Walked away. Went away. So let me keep going as she's fixing that. So even with that, so
That's good. That's good.
none of them will be able to vote in this election, but they're all three of them are involved. So I'm gonna throw this one to you, Lexi. How can you help influence a political outcome or shape the future of the country, although you're not at age to vote at this time? So what are some of the things that you're doing, and how are you encouraging your classmates who are 18 or turning 18? Because listen, everyone, if you turn 18 by November the 5th, you can register to vote today. So go ahead, Lexi.
I think the simplest thing that we can do for ourselves, first of all, is knowing more about politics and being able to educate ourselves and looking at our resources where we're getting things. But also the way that I would do it is, it sounds so funny, but sometimes you have to niche people in by what things that they like. So like I'll wear a voting shirt that people think are really dope. They'll be like, oh, where'd you get that shirt from? I'm like, oh, I made it. They'll be like, oh, well, what about that? And I'll just throw in a little conversation about, oh, don't forget to vote. You know, make sure you know your education about politics before you go vote. Like, oh yeah, you're right. So it's doing simple things like that. Even social media, that is the hugest thing for our generation right now. Social media, even when we started with Kamala Harris, when she first came out, she started when Biden endorsed her with that TikTok video, and it blew up all over social media. So I think the simplest things like that, the way that our generation connects with people is through social media, through phones. So how can we get people to pay attention? That's the way to do it. So whatever it is that my generation likes, I try to connect to them through that.
Okay. So I want to go a little step further. So young people possibly blowing this off, because we do hear some who are involved and some who are, nah, I'm not into it, not my thing. Mm-hmm. What is it that they're looking for? You all have the pulse of your senior classmates and even friends who may have graduated last year, and they're already 18, but they're not motivated. What's missing? What aren't we doing that we need to be paying attention to get involved, to get the young people involved?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Do
you guys mind if I start?
Go ahead, take it.
Okay, I think that part of the reason why a lot of younger adults and students that are coming fresh out of high school aren't necessarily involved in politics is that the way that it's projected and the way that it's presented isn't necessarily addressed to the youth. And I think that's definitely inhibiting for us when we open the news channels and we always see not only is the projection something that matters, but like the representation too. When we open the news, we don't really see many young adults. We don't see many students, or not even in the news, but in anything that relates to politics. It's kind of discouraging when you don't see people that mirror you. And it's also discouraging when they just don't present it in a way that kind of like entices you to listen. So I think something that can definitely be done is bringing in more youth into the political field. And not only that, but like presenting things in a way that makes it easier for us to understand. As much as it's not really talked about, jargon itself, like political jargon, makes it confusing, not only for young adults, but even for people in their older ages or English learners. So definitely being more inclusive is something that we can do and change the field.
You raised something, Summer, and I want to come back to that. Political jargon. I never thought of it that way. And when you said that, I was like, wow, something we need to pay attention to. Is it possible, and this is to all three of you, is it possible that those of us who are involved in politics and we're involved and have an understanding that we're not being mindful of what may be needed outside the political spectrum? Does that make sense? And if so, like, what are some of the words that you classified as political jargon that we need to possibly break down, define, or reassess, or come up with another word?
Okay, word-wise, that is an interesting part for me, but I would say the way we could possibly, so like, we have adults that are all for voting. We have people who are very involved in politics. I think they could open up their range to not just for people who look like them or who are in their age range, but to those who are like 17, like us. So open up your gauge to people who are like us, or like how I always say the saying, if you're not mentoring 5 young people, how can you complain?
And that's y'all Scoop Bell.
And then there was that. How can you complain about the systems of today if you're failing to train up the future? So we can't have that issue, and you're not willing to educate and teach and like ask us questions. Or if we have questions, feel free to ask. I think sometimes we don't ask the questions that need to be asked because we're so maybe not afraid, but we're either misinformed or not included in the current issues of today. So that's my take on it. But
Yeah.
And so now you know me, you know your auntie. I'm already sitting here thinking. So we need to come into the schools.
Mhm.
And we need to actually build civic engagement programs that will help enlighten and find out, even if it's a dialogue or a debate or a town hall meeting, to have these conversations. Because here's the truth. You all, again, you're 17 now, but when you become 18, you are automatically, this is my president. This is the administration. I'm going to have to see how I'm going to follow these rules. So even if it comes to HBCUs or different colleges or the funding or scholarships or whatever, it's going to be under that administration. You will graduate then from college if you choose to go straight to college, not have a gap year, if you choose that path, that, okay, my rent, my car payment, my mortgage, my whatever, my clothing, my job, my career, all of that comes into play. So we should be listening to you. So what are some ways that we can today start inserting you into our conversations? What does that look like?
I think inserting us into your conversations is simply just like being there for us and like having support, because sometimes I know a lot of the youth, they'll have questions about it and we'll talk amongst ourselves, but we can't bring it into like the school district because it's like, oh, there's a fear of what if I offend like a different like political party. So I think just being there for like and supporting and like creating that support for the students without there being any bias or like any like I guess like harm per se, like to not like bash us if we are wrong and like don't understand, because a lot of the times it's like, oh well, you're wrong because you like you believe that certain view.
So one thing to
So.
piggyback off you, I know our district is sometime this year we're going to start like a round table talk. So if some of y'all may know like the round table talk, we're starting to do that where we'll take different kids from all different ranges of grades and at least in high school and start talking about political issues such as this, or even just general issues, racial issues that happen in school, just any type of thing, just to have a conversation to help our district administrators understand. And even the simplest thing of starting down with parents, have conversation with your kids. Like
that's our second attempt. And Latrice Jones said the way you all froze when the bell rung was hilarious. Because you're like, wait a minute. And then you're like, wait, then you're like, oh, I have permission. I can stay here. So keep going.
It's a trigger. It's just a little trigger. That's all. But I think start talking to your kids about politics. Like maybe you don't. Some people feel a way, but you don't have to force your political opinion on them, but just educate them. Because at the end of the day, they're going to turn 18 to make their own choice. So whether you're a Republican, you're independent, you're a Democrat, that part doesn't matter. Long as, for me, at least my children, I would want them to know just about politics in general. I don't need you to take on my opinion because I'm your parent. That's just how I view it. But I get it. Some people wouldn't agree with that. But I just want the kid to understand how politics works and just the little tiny details about it, or how politics try to slip things in without you understanding or knowing, which is why you need to read everything like it's a very serious contract.
Right. We understand the bell.
It's just me. I'm just a victim. That's all.
I also have
Go ahead, Summer.
So basically, I think something that I picked up on agree with what both of my friends here have said is that there tends to be a stigma around politics, or like something that makes it feel like something you cannot discuss, and that comes with people's like predisposed biases and like their own political beliefs. And although politics does tend to lean into that tradition where it's like it's something that you don't want to offend others, or yourself don't want to be offended, and that's kind of something that prohibits people from bringing it into the classrooms as well. So I think that is another thing that we need to target, is just breaking down the stigma of like politics being bad or touchy, and just like turning it into a more like objective teaching, especially in the schools, or especially like for people who aren't of age to vote and they're just learning about it. So like when it comes to the education part, when it comes to you guys coming in with the youth, as long as it's subjective, I feel like there's no harm done. And in fact, I think that's exactly what we need to be doing, is breaking down all of the like emotions and beliefs tied with it and just turning it straight to the facts and giving it to the students, because that's the basics and that's what we need to know.
Wow. I know we have about 4 minutes, because I'm not going to get in trouble with your first period class, the second period, whatever period you're going into. But listen, couple things that came out. And Evelyn, I want to send this question to you, because what I heard was that we got to break these barriers. We got to break the stigma. That's what Summer was just saying as well. So, and Lexi, you were saying something that hit home for me. It was a trigger for me that, everyone in my family is this party. And people are like, I grew up in this party, but do you even know what the party stands for? And what I'm finding out that people have no idea is just that this was a tradition within the household. And so we're going to continue that. So I want to go to Latrice's questions first, Evelyn. I'm going to give this one to you. Are your government social study classes relevant? Do you think a course that delves into politics would be well received by your peers?
I feel as if like some of the courses, it's more so dependent on the teacher, because some history teachers at our school will definitely like talk about like recent updates, but what's taught in the classroom is typically more of history. But I think it's very important to start including the present, because at the end of the day, we are still the future. So being informed, like even in school, is like so important, because you're less prone to be motivated by like certain biases if you know what's going on and the like actuality behind it. And then you think of
you want me to go back to there? Sorry. I'm sorry. There you go.
No, you're okay. I just wanted to make sure I answered the second part of the question. And I think it will be like, depending on where you are and your location, I think that bringing politics into the school can definitely be helpful for like among our peers, because it's like simply just being able to talk in a controlled environment where things won't get like heated. Like if you were to do it in outside public, I think it would definitely be perceived well, like amongst the students at our school.
I just wanted to share Lori Williams Wallace. She says, these are some extremely intelligent and well-spoken young ladies. This is our future. Davia Williams Stevenson says, these young women calm my nervous system. Our future is in good hands. We gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. And then Latrice Jones says, I agree. These young ladies offer a welcome alternative to what we see in the news. And I want to add this, and again, I know I'm looking at the time. I promise you I'm going to get y'all out of here on time.
Okay, you're good. We don't it's okay.
Look, I'm not getting in trouble with principal today. But, and then Deborah says, you are definitely our future. I'm listening to this, and Latrice, hopefully you're still tuning in here. I'm listening to this. Latrice and I wrote up a proposal for a school system. And Latrice, I'm thinking we're going to have to dust that back off and send that to back through the school system. Because what I'm hearing you all say, you should really be in some of the think tanks today. Because we need to hear from you, your thoughts and where you're going and how you are articulating this future. So let me ask this question. What are your top, and I want to hear from each of you, and I know you'll have to go. What are your top 3 concerns as you approach adulthood, graduation adulthood, such as inflation, college costs, living expenses, or other issues? And how do you think the next president should address them? So it's a 2-part question there. So top 3 concerns as you are going to be graduating in May, going into college or adulthood or wherever you choose to go. When it comes to inflation, that's the cost of living, college costs, living expenses, or other issues. And how do you think the next president should address those concerns?
If you're going to start. Before you guys start, I'm going to get it while it's still here. You guys have been calling her Summer, and that's okay. But it's Arsima.
Arsima, I am so sorry.
It's okay.
Arsima, thank you for that. I am so sorry. Arsima, okay.
I know we love it. It's okay.
All right, I'm going to need some time to think.
So okay. You want to go? You want me to go?
You can go.
Okay, I'll go. I would say my top 3. Now, bear with me because I'm thinking while I'm answering. But probably most definitely inflation and college costs for me, because I know in my case, I'm completely relying on scholarships to pay for college.
Okay.
And I know it's not that it's an unfair situation in regards to how you get scholarships. It's a challenge. You're competing against literally students across the globe. So no matter how good you think you are, or all the good things that you may do, you have to consider that it's literally like a 1 in a million chance. And of course, I'm trusting and depending on God to get me the scholarship that I need. But we have to have a reality check that where's this money going to come from? If I don't get this scholarship in due time, will I be in a tight spot that I may have to drop out of college? God forbid I have to drop out of college because I can't pay the bills, or like me and Rich are barely waving at each other. We around the corner. I tell my friends I'm broke as a joke sometimes. It's a funny joke. I'm broke as a joke. So I don't know where the money's going to come from. So that's one of the issues. And I get it in like 2020, I believe it was, or somewhere around there, we had like the debt-free situation where they waived over all the debt that the students have. I'm like, how can we do that then, but not find a way to at least control some of the debt that students are having, depending on the degree that you plan to go into. So for me, and I know for Evelyn too, we both plan to go into law. Yes. So that's an expensive part in college. Like that's no cheap thing to go into, but I'm going into law and communications. And that's going to be a situation where I don't know where the money's going to come from. I'm not trying to spend the rest of my life to try to figure out where I'm trying to pay. I have kids now. I have a husband. I have a house. On top of all that, I have to pay $100,000+ in debt. And there's no more scholarships after that. After I'm done, where is the money coming from? So that's one of the issues I'm worrying about as of now and trying to figure out. But in regards to what the president could do, I think like we're already having now, have conversations with people who are actually currently going through that. And even our generation now, like what is going on? How can we help you? So long as they're open to having the conversation. If they're not open to have a conversation, we can't change anything. We'll literally be stuck how it is until we all come together and figure out a way to have this debt come like way down, or at least be held back in some sense and not charge as much, because you're asking me for money in all different directions. Because of course that's the currency we run on. Money is literally the currency we run on, and you're asking me to give from all these different places, from taxes to now these loans. Now I have to pay back the loan just to get me through college. All I want is a college education, but I have to sit here and worry more about the money that I have to get than the education that I could actually be getting and be learning from for my future. So that's one of my concerns. My second concern would be...
Before you go to the second, I do want to clear up something. There was a group who sued the administration about canceling all the debt, and the Supreme Court ruled in the suit's favor. So that didn't happen, although they are finding ways to get rid of some of the debt from some of the students. But the complete table wash, that did not happen. It was blocked from a group who sued the administration.
So that's even better to know. That's even better to know. So it's things like that, because now those students are stuck having to pay that stuff. And it's like, why would I want to live my life in stress or with the weight typically of the world trying to pay this by itself? But moving on. I would say,
and just so that y'all know, it's 8:04. Now again, I don't want to get in trouble with y'all's principal, so keep going.
Our administrators are well aware. We're okay.
Okay.
So I would say college debt. For me, I would say inflation, which also ties back to adding on top of college debt, because that's just paying more and more. And then my third issue, what would my third issue be? I don't know what my third issue would be. Maybe healthcare. Maybe. Yeah. I would say, the way that the government may run healthcare or any type of loan situation, but I don't know. What about you guys?
I definitely agree with you. I think that my number one concern would be getting through college realistically and also affordably. Everything that Lexi said, I shadow and I mirror, because it's very true, and that's also my number one concern. I guess my second concern would be job security after we get out of college, because you want to make sure that all of that hard work that you've done and you've built basically since the first moment of your life pays off into something that will last and has longevity. So job security is another big concern for our youth, honestly, for anybody. And then perhaps my third concern would be I don't know if this really counts, but like quality of life, really, like satisfaction with my life. It's not something that's like a formal, like something that can like be changed with one step. But I think it's something that in the back of people's minds, like everybody thinks about. It's like, am I really enjoying my life? Like, am I really having the best life that I can be? And in America, that's like our whole shebang. Like, that's the American dream, making sure that your life is what you want it to be. And I feel like as it is right now, not everybody, or at least not the majority, is meeting that. So I think improving the quality of life is another big concern that I'm worried about. And as far as what our president or our government system can do to work on all of these things is kind of just like Lexi said, have the conversations, but after that, just be accountable. All the way down the government chain too. It's not only at like the federal level, but going down to the state levels, the local levels, the whole entire system, I feel like plays a part in everything. So beyond having those discussions, it's turning them into action. And that means also bringing in the youth. And it's funny because everything is interrelated, not only in politics, but like once you're in politics, you can bring in social issues, you can bring in economic issues, and there's so many different aspects that we need to consider. So I guess the biggest thing that we can do is work together as a team and bring everybody in. And I think that's how change happens. So yeah.
I agree.
Yes,
I agree.
Y'all are amazing. I'm sitting here like, can y'all get in office today? Go ahead, Evelyn. Let's hear from you.
So my top 3 biggest concerns, I think, would be the quality of my education. It would definitely be like the inflation, and since prices are going up like significantly, will my pay be going up? Because a lot of the issue right now between like I know like lower coming households is everything's getting so much more expensive, but pay is still the same. And it's so much harder to get those raises now. So simply just being able to support myself in life after the fact that I went to colleges and stuff. So quality of my education, definitely like the inflation and pay rates. And then what was the other one you said, Lexi? There was one that you said.
Colleges, inflation, healthcare.
No, it was. I don't remember. There was a third one, and I can't remember it.
I said college. I said inflation.
Was it like scholarships?
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Like being able to simply like provide more of those like as a support route, because there are like, I know for like rigorous like careers such as law and like, you know, doctor and like laws like that, it's going to be a lot of money and it's going to be a lot of time. So providing the students with that support is also a big issue, because it's like there's so many scholarships, but realistically, how many of those are you getting? You know, so just being able to like being able to like help with those concerns. I think just providing more support routes and just being able to like, oh, if you're like, let's say your income is lower than this, like I know there's FAFSA, but being able to like help with more, because even so with FAFSA, it's like sometimes it's not enough, compared to what you want to do. So just definitely just having more support and being able to provide different little like outcomes through the little and like the wedges, if that makes sense.
Piggyback slightly off you now. I'm gonna leave it alone. I think also just being a female, and all 3 of us female of color, like it's not easy for us to get the pay raise. It's not easy for us to make waves in politics. Even now, to be so honest, some of us are actually completely shocked that Kamala Harris has made it thus far, being a woman of color. So, and to have her even considered to be the next president is breaking barriers, political barriers for years and years to come. So even to see that is nice, and it's like really empowering. But to be for like all 3 of our issues, it's gonna make it harder just because we are female and we're of color. That's just what it is.
I definitely go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say the moral of the story is that it is hard out here.
It's hard out here. It's hard out here.
Listen, it is hard out here. Listen, and I can't even imagine the 3 of you, like, what are you thinking about moving forward with everything that you already know? And the 3 of you articulated all of your needs, your concerns, the approach, all of that, with such intelligence, brilliance, grace, all of it. And I'm just sitting here totally proud of the 3 of you. I'm so proud of you. Like even in the green room. Even in the green room, I was like, oh, I'm gonna love this conversation. So I know you have to go. We have to go as well. But first of all, thank you for joining us. We want to make ourselves available here from News in Motion, however we can help you, however we can connect you. And I want to actually hear for those of you who are still in the chat, if you have any ways or time that you want to mentor or sit down, have a conversation with them, anything like that, just put that in the chat, because I think sometimes we are unaware of the resources that are already out here. Deborah Johnson says, thank you for sharing with us. I hope we hear more from you going forward. And I agree with that. We're going to have to bring y'all back. Like, y'all going to have to come back on a Thursday morning before your class. Any questions you have for me that I could possibly answer in just a couple of minutes, or any thoughts? And then, of course, Lexi, I need to find out if you have any national days today.
I always do. I think that's more of a comment than a question. If you guys ever want to talk to us, even our school, get in contact with our school, please feel free. I'll put it on you, Auntie, to reach out to Ready Media, and then she'll probably reach out to us. And I have connections to our administration, so we'll be happy. Our school will be absolutely happy to invite you guys to have conversations, even at our roundtable talks. Matter of fact, when we start talking about that, I'll make sure you guys are in the know about our roundtable talks, so you guys can be more included in the conversation, and even possibly talk about having conversations aside from that in school. So like Auntie Latrice and Auntie Gail, like you guys, if you guys want to do that, that's most definitely a thing that can happen. So please don't limit yourself because of even your age or what you look like or whatever it is. Don't limit yourself from reaching out to youth, because we actually need the help. You may think you don't know too much, but we need the help. So anything is literally helping at all. As long as it's factual and what you're saying you could be backed up, please don't limit yourself. So even reaching out to schools, even your preschoolers, not saying that they will know much about politics, but even start there and go make your way up, because you're making an impact. It starts from the early age. Like, it really does start from an early age, how they're going to turn out. So yeah, that's what I would say. Let me hear you.
I love that. Anything else I want to add as she's looking up her national days?
I think that's all that I have for today. I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm honored to be on here.
For sure. I also want to back her up and say thank you as well. It's not every day that we get an opportunity to do something like this. So it was a really cool experience, and I'm very grateful. So thank you again.
Thank you.
You are welcome. I'm so glad you decided to join us this morning. I appreciate it. I love this conversation. And I'm very careful not to put things in order, but I'm going to just say it. This was the best segment of this week. I'm grateful.
Thank you.
All right, Lex, you got any days for me? We out of here.
I got some days here. So
okay, let me hear it. Let me hear them.
I know. It's National Butterscotch Pudding Day. It is National Cat DNA Day. So shout out to all the cats. Whoop, whoop, get into it. It's National Meow Like a Pirate Day. Hey, I've never heard of such a thing, but we love it. We love diversity in it. National Pawpaw Day, as in like the fruit. So like the little fruit with the seeds on the inside. Listen, pawpaw, P-A-W. We got National Woman Road Warrior Day. Okay, we were just talking about it, making waves. And then Talk Like a Pirate Day. So hardy har har. And Wales International Film Festival. It's Balance Awareness Week and Recycle Now Week. So make sure you recycle.
Wow, thank you. Again, I am grateful. Thank you so much. I will let you all go as I go to the inspirational message. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, y'all, time for the inspirational message, and we're out of here. Let's mentor. After having this segment with these young women, knowing that we were going to put this together today, I just see the need for continuous mentorship. Whatever that looks like. I know there's so many organizations that are out here who are doing phenomenal things, but I always believe there's room for more. So if you have an opportunity, whether that's 30 minutes or an hour, and you want to participate, and Deborah, I did see you say I'm available to connect with these impressive young ladies. Let's find a way to connect to get this done. And Donita said, thank you, ladies. They're out the green room. They've gone on the class. I want to thank the Pick North staff and the administration for allowing these three amazing, intelligent, brilliant young women to join us today on News in Motion. I know we went a little over, but they said it was okay. So it's okay. And I will stay in contact with you all. Shirley Nicholson says, thank you, young ladies, for sharing and being so articulate. They were absolutely amazing. But I can go now because they're out the green room. I can go now to the Bible just for a moment. And I do this because I have to follow the regulations of the public school system and so forth, and what I can and cannot do. They're now out the green room, so let me share this. As a mentor, when we look at the Bible, there's several areas of mentorship there. I look at Elizabeth, I look at Mary, I look at Martha, I look at Mary, I look at Esther, I look at Mordecai, I look at Hannah, I look at so many. I look at Isaac and Jacob, I look at Abraham and Isaac, I look at the chief priests and Abraham. I can see mentorship throughout. We can go to 2 Timothy, we can see mentorship. There's so much mentoring that we can be doing. And y'all, we have to stop thinking, because those 3 young ladies today, they spoke to me. So let's not always look at how do we mentor down, but maybe someone's mentoring up, and be open to that. Because I think we can learn so much. When they said, I think it was a simmer, when she said, I hope I said that correctly, when she said the political jargon, that gave me a gut punch, because it's so easy for me to speak the language because I know it, that I'm not considering someone who may not know. So when she shared that, it's now going to be in the forefront of my mind to make sure I'm explaining what I'm saying and not taking for granted that everyone knows. So even with that, that's a form of mentoring. She informed me of something today about the political jargon and not understanding the system. I shared with you all yesterday from Tuesday when we were out. Latrice Jones happened to be with me. At that time, we were at Kennedy Cakes, and there was a young lady that came in to wanting to know where her polling location, where she can find her polling location. We sat down, we found that, we put in the address, and Latrice, as well as Adrian, kept saying there's something about that address. It was Latrice, because of the work that Latrice is a part of every day. She knew that address was a shelter. Now, we found it. She was registered. She had all her information in there. We gave her polling location, but it also opened up another door for me, opened my mind, like, wait a minute. We're so busy on people who live in homes and apartments, but are we thinking about those who are living in shelters? Do we need to go to the shelter and make sure everyone there understands, if this is the address you are using, this is your polling location? Do we speak with the staff? Do we have a town hall there? Do we have a civic engagement educational program there? What does that look like? I know Dr. Antoinette said on Tuesday, their team, their group went to senior centers to have those same conversations. So y'all, here's an opportunity to mentor and to grow. And before I get out of here, I want to be honest with you all, very transparent, because some of you was like, are you okay? Listen, I've been exhausted all week. I have been, because we do the work. We do the work, just like all of you, we do the work. And the exhaustion was at a level this week that I said, if I can just make it through Thursday. And these young women, listen, they spoke to my life. They spoke life to me today, just to see their excitement, their energy, their thoughts, what they desire. It's all worth it. It is all worth it. I can't tell you how many doors I knocked on, how many people I had conversations with, how many people who were pushing back this week, how many people, just like the young ladies were saying, they were letting me know, although one person in the address was Democrat, the other person in the address was Republican, and how they were clashing, and how one wanted to cuss you out and the other wanted to say, oh, don't listen to them. It's like, what is going on? I'm like, can you live with this person? But y'all, the exhaustion was real. It was real. At Junto, when the young men were like, I don't believe in all of that. No one's purging me. And then the young guy found out he was purged. Y'all, that's the work. And to find that balance, even with that, I was like, okay, who can I go to? Who is a therapist? Who is a mentor? Who can pray me through this? Who's a prayer warrior who can pray me through this? Because here's the thing. I think it's now, what are we, 47 days away? I believe it's 47. I could be off. 47 days away. We're all going to need prayer. We're all going to need strength. We're all facing exhaustion. And I'll say it again as I said it on Wednesday. Black women, women of color, we're getting it. And so we really need to pray for each other. We need to stand beside each other. This is different than when Hillary Clinton was a nominee. For some reason, this is different. This is so different. So please take time, self-care, find a mentor, find a therapist, find a prayer warrior to help you get through. And brothers, the same with you. Regardless of race, every male, every man who's out here knocking on doors, voting, having these conversations, we're praying for you as well. If y'all have not seen the movie Forge, I would highly suggest you go and see the movie Forge. Deborah Johnson and I went to see it. I think it was like the first week it was out. We went on a Tuesday when it was cheap and it was Senior Citizen Day. Hello, somebody. And we watched that. And I said, Deborah, this was deep. Everyone should go see the movie Forge. Men, take groups of men to go see the movie Forge. Seriously, it's going to make a difference. And that movie right there also spoke to mentorship. It also spoke to mentorship. Deborah Johnson says, yes, I love the concept of mentoring up. Shirley Nicholson says, please keep checking your voting status. Listen, I'm checking it every day. I don't trust them. Latrice Jones says, we need to mentor up. Love it. Shirley Nicholson just put up the prayer hands. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with me this week. Thank you for us. We were on location on Tuesday. We had some technical difficulties, but as Kim Edmondson said, stop talking about it. So I'm going to stop talking about it. But y'all know what I say. Stay well, everyone. And remember, please remember to make some bold moves. Also, check your voting status. As Shirley Nicholson said, check it. Hey, vote for baby James. Vote for baby James. I know him personally, okay? Vote for baby James. That is my daughter's godson. Jules, y'all know Jules. Y'all hear me mention Jules' name for over the past 4 years. That is her son. So vote for baby James. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. Have a great weekend. Peace.
News in Motion.